It was a Friday evening, and the office was nearly deserted. Most of my colleagues had already left for the weekend, but I was stuck finishing a project that had a looming deadline. My name is Mark, a 28-year-old software developer working in a tech company downtown. I usually avoided working late, but this time I didn't have a choice. The office was eerily quiet, with only the hum of the air conditioning and the occasional flicker of the overhead fluorescent lights. My workstation was on the 5th floor, far from the hustle of the entrance and empty, save for a few desks cluttered with papers and computer screens displaying sleep mode. I glanced at the clock on my screen. It was almost 10 p.m. I took a deep breath and rubbed my eyes, trying to shake off the fatigue that was setting in. The task wasn't hard, but the silence and the dim lighting made every click of my keyboard echo ominously through the empty office. As I worked, I couldn't help but feel a creeping sense of unease. The office, normally filled with the buzz of conversations and the tapping of keyboards, felt unnaturally still. It was as if the building itself was holding its breath, waiting for something. I decided to take a short break and headed to the kitchen for some coffee. The hallway was dimly lit and my footsteps echoed as I walked. The vending machine at the end of the hall flickered as I passed by, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. I reached the kitchen and poured myself a cup of stale coffee. As I stood there, sipping the bitter liquid, I heard a faint sound, like the soft clattering of keys. I paused, listening intently, but the noise stopped as abruptly as it started. I brushed it off as my mind playing tricks on me. It was, after all, late. I was tired. Returning to my desk, I noticed that my computer screen was off. Odd, since I hadn't been away long enough for it to go to sleep mode. As I moved the mouse, the screen flickered to life. Something was different. The file I had been working on was gone, placed by an error message that read, "File not found." Frustration bubbled up. I tried searching for the file, thinking I might have accidentally moved it, but it was nowhere to be found. A chill ran down my spine as I realized the system had logged me out entirely. I quickly logged back in, only to be met with a blank desktop. Determined not to let this setback ruin my night, I started to recreate the lost work from memory. As I typed, I noticed a movement out of the corner of my eye. I turned quickly, but there was nothing, just the faint outline of empty cubicles and the darkened hallway beyond. I resumed typing, but the sense of being watched grew stronger. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, a side effect of being alone in a silent office. But then I saw it, a shadow darting across the far wall, moving too quickly to be natural. My heart pounded as I stood up, scanning the room. "Hello?" I called out, my voice wavering slightly. There was no answer, just the hum of the air conditioning and the distant sound of traffic from outside. I sat back down, but I couldn't focus. Every few minutes I would see the shadow again, flickering just on the edge of my vision. It was as if something was moving through the office, staying just out of sight. I decided to take another break, thinking some fresh air might clear my mind. I made my way to the restroom, feeling of unease growing with every step. The hallway seemed longer and darker than before, and the lights flickered as I passed under them. As I approached the restroom door, I heard it again, the soft clatter of keys, followed by a faint whisper. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was cold, almost threatening. Inside the restroom, the lights buzzed loudly, casting a harsh glow over the tiles. I splashed water on my face, trying to calm myself. When I looked up at the mirror, my reflection seemed off, like there was something standing behind me. I turned quickly, but the restroom was empty. That was it. I decided I couldn't stay any longer. I rushed back to my desk, intending to pack up and leave. But as I reached my workstation, I froze. The computer screen was on, and a document was open. It wasn't the one I was working on. It was something else entirely. A single sentence was typed repeatedly across the screen. "You shouldn't be here." Chill ran through me as I stared at the screen, my mind racing. I hadn't typed that. No one else was here. I frantically looked around, the shadows now feeling more oppressive, as if they were closing in on me. I grabbed my bag, heart racing, and made a beeline for the elevator. The hallway felt endless, and every step echoed like a drumbeat in my ears. I pressed the elevator button repeatedly, glancing over my shoulder at the empty office. The shadow was there, flickering at the edge of the light, growing bolder, as if it was feeding on my fear. When the elevator doors finally opened, I rushed inside and hit the ground floor button. The doors closed just as I saw the shadow move closer. Its shape more defined now, a tall, dark figure with indistinct features. I could feel it watching me, even as the elevator descended. The moment the doors opened on the ground floor, I sprinted out of the building, not stopping until I reached my car. I sat there for a moment, catching my breath and trying to make sense of what had just happened. The office loomed behind me, dark and silent, as if nothing had occurred. I didn't go back to work that weekend. When I returned on Monday, the office was back to normal, buzzing with activity. I never spoke about that night to anyone. Who would believe me? But every time I work late, I can't help but feel that same uneasy presence, lurking just beyond the light. Now I avoid working alone at night. I leave as soon as the sun sets, no matter how tight the deadline. Some things are better left unseen, and whatever was in that office with me that night, I hope never to encounter it again.